Okay, so this is the Drupal usability meeting for July 18th, 2017. And we have a few topics that we collected. First, around the top-level content route, similar to structure, and making the ad content behavior simpler. And Antje wanted to talk about these, so that's the best way to start, I think.
Okay. I just posted the issue in the chat. That's 2862859, and it's called "Create a top-level extendable content admin menu route that behaves like structure," which is a very long title. Yeah, thanks. The problem that we currently have is that when you click on the content link in the admin menu or in the admin toolbar, you don't end up on a page like structure or config or configuration or reports that gives you an overview over all the issues that all the items that come underneath it, but it straight away brings you into a list of all node content. And that comes from a time from Drupal 6 when we had everything that had to do with content was under content, like content types and adding new content, and all of that was just under content, and that was really messy. So with 7, there was a decision to only use content for the kind of content that's created by Node, by the Node module. And that worked for 7. But in Drupal 8, we now actually have more content entities, and especially 8.4 now with media in core, we definitely have a second content entity that you could actually just use without nodes. But we end up now with media being a tab or an action on the content page. So kind of one step removed from the main menu. And what figured out even in the, as you could see from the screenshot that's in the issue, you'll see that when you turn off the node module, you actually end up with a content page that says, you don't have any administrative items here, but it still has the media tab on top of it. So it's become all a bit messy. We had proposed earlier to look at the admin structure in general, and thought this was a kind of low-hanging fruit to just actually turn the content page, this existing content page that is actually the node content, to turn that first of all into the kind of landing page that we have for all the other main menu items like structure and configuration as well, and then have underneath that have all the content, like what we currently call content, and the media items and things like that. So what you see in the screenshot there is actually a mock-up of how this could look like. It would end up with a duplication of content, because we can't really go back to say, okay, these are nodes, so we call them nodes. I think we have to live with the fact that we call nodes content, even though there's other content. So when we discussed this with WebChick in Sevilla, she said we should look at more how this could work, what kind of destruction that would cause if we change this, because it would change all the kind of existing training. That means that tells people that when they click on content, they straight away have the list of all the content items. But I think now that we have media in core, we certainly should look at this rather now than later. So this was why we posted this long summary of our findings on the issue. I think that's my introduction so far. Does that make sense? Or general silence?
I would say, to me, it makes sense. I'm just launching a local Drupal site, so I can take a look at how the the administration / structure looks like. I forgot.
I mean, this kind of landing page is just the default one. So it doesn't add any hierarchy, doesn't add any grouping. That would really only, for now, make sure that we actually have a place where media and other custom entities could actually go. The other problem we found is also that if you put anything under content in the admin menu, in that menu, you'll only see those menu items if you show the toolbar vertically. If you use the toolbar horizontally, all of these items are not visible. So we have a real usability problem that if any contrib module or any site builders puts anything there, we continuously have to tell our users, don't use the toolbar horizontally, because you lose access to certain pages.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to have something like this, because obviously, as you said, it's not only nodes anymore. There are content types, but media, files, and comments, yes, they are different kind of content than the general content, which I assume that the general user would consider articles and pages and things like that. So maybe the thing is to we could explore if there would be maybe another name or different name for the content section and content where you manage and access content itself. If there would be something preferable, or if it's easy to understand, like it is now in your screenshot.
Yeah, the advantage of keeping content and then having a double would mean that we are not losing the menu item content. So users that are looking for content where they used to find it will still find content in the menu. But when they click on it, they'll see that they have to click on content again. If we would replace that with a different word, then we actually lose the kind of knowledge that people have a bit more on how to find their way around. It would also mean that the admin passes would be out of sync with what it says on the menu item, because now everything that lives under content, pretty much everything, has a path that goes admin/admin/content.
Yeah, admin/content/comments or /files. Okay, no more comments from me.
Any concerns, anybody, that this would be too disruptive? The initial idea had been to put it in as a very early patch into like 8.5 or so that we could deal with anything that needs changing, or that people could have about 6 months to get used to that.
Yeah, I think if there is a shortcut to the content page itself and not this list of different content things, like unlike the screenshot shows, then it keeps the easy access to the content page that lists the content.
You mean a shortcut under in the shortcut section?
Yeah. So this yellow star means that this is a shortcut page, and this is. I'm not sure this is a useful shortcut page. It's probably more useful shortcut page to have a shortcut to the actual list of nodes.
Yeah.
By
yeah,
default.
this was just my mock-up.
Yeah.
Photoshopping things together.
Yeah, it would definitely be more consistent than with the rest of the stuff. I don't know how harder. I mean, it depends on whether people use the menu more than the tabs now.
But the problem is that at the moment, you can't use the menu for like the media contrib module. Displays media as a submenu item under content.
Yeah.
Which means you won't be able to find it. It also means that if a site builder, for example, adds extra pages there, for example, to give people a faster way to go to all the articles or all the whatever extra content type or only videos, not the whole media. At the moment, we have to add all of that into tabs, and it's getting very long.
Yeah.
And yes, the thing that we now end up with a page that says you don't have any administrative items and still the media tag on it, that's just definitely broken there.
Yeah, it's broken. If you don't use node module, it's a very broken experience, yeah. So you would need to use views or something else to override this page with something else, which you may or may not be doing if you are disabling node module. But yeah, I think there's a core workaround. At least we will need to fix it definitely in 8.4 also, that the media and the files items don't show up in the menu, because there's some workarounds to make them as tabs and as menu items at the same time. But that's a workaround, I agree.
Yeah, because otherwise we have to apply the same workaround every time we're using a custom entity, for example.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So are there any UX concerns with this otherwise? I mean, I've tagged the issue as needs project manager review, because I think that was the request that we should come back with it at some stage.
Yeah, Angie, you just arrived. Do you have opinions, or you didn't have enough time to absorb?
Yeah, I didn't really have time. That's why I was wondering, could I just get the in Slack so I can take a quick gander?
Yeah.
I am intimately familiar though with the problems that this initiative is trying to solve. So because we talked a lot about that at Dev Days. But I have not kept up with what the proposed resolution is.
The proposed resolution would be to replace the current content page basically with one of these landing pages, and then have another content page on it.
And then get rid of most of the stuff under content, or no, sorry, that's site building. So move the stuff that qualifies as content underneath here.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, that could simply be what we have now: content, comment, files, and then media as well. And then we can discuss about whether anything else should go there. But first of all, it would put media on the same kind of level as Node.
Yep.
Like the content that's produced through the media module would live on the same kind of hierarchical level as Node content.
Right.
And it would be accessible in the toolbar with the same amount of clicks. Now you just kind of go from A to B to Z, which kind of makes it very much kind of second class. Yes, we have media items somewhere hidden away. It would also mean that site builders can actually also extend from that with custom entities or with extra views that they want to have in that section.
But the direction makes sense to me. It basically makes that menu item consistent with all the other menu items in there. I guess Two things I have is one, what's interesting about that link under there that says content. That doesn't show. That shows, because we're like, it gets weird because we're calling the menu item content, meaning everything under here is content. But that listing page is not going to show comments, files, or media. Something entirely different. So that's a little bit goofy. I don't know if it's going to be an actual problem or not, but that's just one thing. And then the second thing I'm worried about is there's already, say, 150,000 or something sites using Drupal 8 and who have used Drupal 7. I believe was set up the same way, where that content menu item does go to the content listing. And for that to suddenly change on them would be hugely disruptive. So I'm wondering if there's a way we can do this for all new site installations, but not for existing. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, because then we have to write 2 versions of documentation, and that seems awful. I'm just trying to like, with that change, because it's a huge jarring one, and it affects content authors specifically. Like some of the least on the site are gonna have this where they, you know, and like I deal with people who like, oh my God, my start menu's on the wrong, help, it's emergency, right? Like that kind of thing. When they literally have no idea how to get back to the page they always used to have there, that's going to be hugely, hugely disruptive for them. I don't really know what to do about that. And I think that probably just needs some discussion here or in the issue or both.
Yeah, one of the reasons for continuing to call both pages content would be that at least they're still called the same. So if you look for your content page, you will still find it by clicking on content and then clicking on content again. And the other issue why I think we should think about it faster than later is because of the media items. Because if the place of the media items changes, then we should rather do that sooner than later, before we have actually documentation and training about how to use media in core.
That's very true. You're a little bit more familiar with the media initiative than I am. Does what's hopefully going to ship with 8.4, does that expose that media listing? If we scroll up to the other screenshot in that comment, media items are listed as a tab, like as an action. Oh, I see. Sorry.
On the content page. Which is also
a good indicator that it should be like you've laid it out, because it's I didn't even see that. So.
Yeah, it can't go on a well, we can duplicate it, or the media initiative can probably duplicate it to make sure it also shows up in the menu list. But it needs, at the moment, it needs to be a tab, because otherwise you won't be able to see it if you use the toolbar vertically. We have this problem that the toolbar for the content section has gives you access to different things depending on whether it's horizontal or vertically.
Yep.
Which I find as quite a usability issue. When I have to tell my users that they have to be sure of.
There was a lot more work that was supposed to be done on the toolbar, including like an admin menu like flyout thing, but we ran out of time because we were arguing. I agree. Like, there's a lot of work that can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in here, though, it says that you want to change this as a first patch for 8.5. So you're not actually proposing this.
Well, yeah, that was your idea, to do it as a first patch for 8.5 in Sevilla.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about that is media entity is going to ship not only, I think it's going to be, well, anyway, I don't know what's happening with that, but in which the media team would like it shipped, is they would like the media entity module shipped stable. However, there are enough usability problems with just itself that that we're going to ship it hidden by default, or not even by default, I think just plain old hidden. So end users can't blunder their way into accidentally turning it on and making their site all goofy and weird, and having both files and media and this kind of thing. I think that postponing this change to 8.5 makes sense, because even though someone could get into the situation of the first screenshot and then, you know, find it jarring that now it's a second screenshot instead, the only people who are going to do that are people who, I don't think it's making it any worse than what's in Contrib right now, I think. So, and then we would combine the, make it, you know, consistent with the rest of the menu items with user-facing or like visible checkboxes that people can check to turn media functionality on, and I think that works. Long and drawn-out way of saying +1. Sorry, just like trying to get caught up on this a little bit. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay, do we want to look at the other one from the agenda?
Okay, thanks.
So, I think best is for me and whoever else on the product manager team to leave comments on this issue with our thoughts, so we can get that needs product management review tag off, and that's kind of the actionable thing from this.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So the other one from Antje would be the add content item to toolbar. Do we want to talk about that?
Okay. Well, I just only commented on that because it was added on the issue as well.
Oh.
But I can just say that as well.
Okay.
Because I think there is an issue to add something into the toolbar to add content, because users are looking for it, and you currently find something to add content either under the shortcuts, or if you go onto the content page where you have the kind of button. And there were some proposals in the issue of how this could look like, and my proposal would be, because the toolbar basically is kind of changing different modes. Like you can go from looking at your site to managing it, to managing your account, to place blocks in future, or to turn on and off the added functionality. So if we would, instead of placing a single link there to add content that brings you to the node add page, where you can just add node content, if we would actually add a new menu that lists all the pages where you can add content, like node content or media content or whatever custom content there might be, then it would work in the same kind of functionality. If you click on add content, you would have then in the toolbar those menu items, and it would also allow site builders to actually custom that depending on their needs. For example, to say, okay, we just separate this out. We say add page and add article and add video and add photo in there separately. So instead of creating a kind of snowflake button in the toolbar, it would just something that that is more configurable. And that's the quick mock-up that I made. But I didn't know this issue was coming up, so therefore I'm a bit.
No, I linked it because I remember that this issue existed, and it seemed to kind of reflect the same idea, because if we had that page that you're proposing to introduce, that maybe that could be the flyout item here. So I guess if you really look at the generic change, is that, like Angie just said, the plan was already to maybe add some flyout drop-down menus to Toolbar. I think that with this add content bit, and potentially also with the user menu, right? Because there's also an issue there that proposes to show the sub-items of, well, in this case, Jeff Noyes, or the, Jeff Noyes, to have the logout and profile be sub-items of the Jeff Noyes page. Anyway, I guess the generic change that we're proposing to look into here is how can we add the sub-items to a Toolbar top-level item.
Yeah, this is like the Toolbar design from way back in the day, the Drupal Gardens days, early Drupal Gardens days. So I just remember that Jeff Noyes was working a lot on this, and he had also this idea that every area of the site should have an add, a manage, and a find section. So when you deal with content, you have add content and then find content, and then the manage content somehow didn't fit here. But for people, add people, manage people, find people, etc. So you would have these logical areas.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an idea back in the day. I don't know which issue this was from, but I just randomly found it. Oh, I did found the issue too. So this was from 2012, May 2012.
That again has the problem that was that thinking content is just nodes.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment you have more content entities, that will just get very full.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, gallery and those things were nodes, and now they are not anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, so this is like the media, comments, etc. Yeah. Yeah, so this was a new Toolbar. Yeah, 2012. And who opened it? Webchick. Hi. Yeah.
Ah, you remember it well.
Nothing but trouble. That web.
The day after she opened the one for overlay.
And
I don't know.
But then Tim Plunkett worked on it, and yeah. Those were the days 5 years ago.
So yeah, that ad content one is we had that critical until it got downgraded to major because for some reason our issues aren't allowed to be critical, whatever. But anyway, yeah, that's a huge issue. That was an issue even before in the old Toolbar, and it's especially an issue with the new Toolbar because shortcuts are so hard to find now. So.
Yep.
I find the functionality of the toolbar of saying whatever you click on at the top gives you basically a list of items. That's actually quite intuitive. This kind of toolbar that's changing whatever you now have at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So I'm quite glad with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just pulled this up to demonstrate that this was a problem 5 years ago, and we still have the problem. And was very similar thinking about it 5 years ago to have like this pull down to add something in the same place.
Yeah, I think we're all agreed that that's what we want. It sounds like this issue though needs like a signed off on design or spec. Is that correct? Because we got a couple of ideas. Or maybe we just look at this and we say, yep, that's what we want. Plus add content.
It would basically add a new menu that has all of these add content, add media items in it.
Yeah, the only thing I would do with this mock-up that's in number 31 is I would make the menu item and the text of the links match. So in other words, add content, add media instead of just content and media.
Yeah,
like we deliberately in the last mock-up didn't call it content items or content listing because we wanted people to word. So this would make these very different because the page itself looks identical, right? It's like, I don't know, it's just like a fucking page with a bunch of links on it. So if we, even though it's kind of redundant because add is in the top, that might help.
That makes perfect sense. That was me rushing a mock-up.
No, that's fine. That's totally that small detail, this looks fine to me. I think locating it as the second link rather than the first link, because the buddy up here, number 29, the far left, but I think most sites have that hamburger menu in the top left, so it probably makes sense to put it where it is in your mock-up. Emily or Yoroy, if you guys have thoughts on that, as people who are actually designers as opposed to people with opinions.
No, we're not hearing you, Emily. I don't know. I think in my model of things, content comes before manage. I think that the sorting order of the items in the existing toolbar are from most used to less often used. I think more in general that because we can add a submenu to content, and we can do something for a submenu for the user account menus, because that's what the rest of the internet does as well. I guess we have to look at the general pattern, right? So what's in the flyout for manage or for configuration? I mean, I'm just looking at it because if we start to ask people to implement it, we'll get the system thinkers, right? And they will wonder, how does this work for any menu item in the toolbar? I'm fine with exploring specifics. I guess we also need to look at how the general pattern would work. Yeah, so I would like to see a couple of more design explorations around this to get a good feel about what the good approach, what the right approach would be that scales.
Can you hear me now?
Hi, Emily.
Yeah. Awesome. So I was just going to say, we were exploring something similar for the adding layouts and landing pages stuff. So I have a couple of mock-ups related to that where we had an add button in the toolbar and sub content. So I can also add those.
And are you ready to show those, or is that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can share.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look, right?
Yeah, so this is pretty similar to the add content button, but this was the idea that there would be the modes. So you'd have edit mode, add mode, and manage mode. And then this also opens up the settings tray, but it could redirect directly to the pages without settings tray enabled.
Do we have the one where manage is active?
Oh, where manage is active?
Yeah.
Yes, you don't see add at that point. Let's see, do I have that? I just have it with nothing active there.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the general idea. So I can add those to the issue too.
Yeah, I think it would be good to just have a couple of ideas in the issue and see what we think works. I mean, this would, of course, mean a more drastic, I don't know, does this need the actual admin IA to be rejiggered, or is this a custom menu, or is this, would this reflect the underlying information architecture, or can we customize that? Because right now it reflects how IA is structured, right? If I click configuration, I see all the items in configuration. Well, not really. Sorry. Interesting. Let's add them to the issue for now and see what works and where things might break. I like this, but it looks like this is a more drastic change, right? Which I'm fine with. But everybody's so silent. Everybody's muted.
Yeah, some time ago I had an idea for Toolbar, or what to put into Toolbar as well. I can show you, remind you that. Let me just share my screen as well. So I had the idea of putting this page.
Can you zoom in a bit to this?
Yes.
Please, thank you.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So to put edit this page button here, then when you click on that, then it would sort of become the editing toolbar. You could change the moderation, save preview, and move to trash page. So yeah, this is just another idea of how toolbar could be used.
Better than what we currently have as the trigger to get into that.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying that toggle than the current way to get into edit mode. Like, I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. But when we are talking about some drastic changes to UI, I actually have something related to that. So
sure.
After this,
So let's go. I love big blue sky thinking. Honestly, I would love to see more of that. And I know Dries would too.
Yeah. Okay. So we can maybe close the issue which we are talking about now, if there is something more, and then I can walk you through what I was working on.
Right. So real quick, what's the next step on what we were just talking about? Are we to the point we can do a patch, or do we still need to things a bit more?
Make a patch for the add content menu thing that could go into the toolbar, you mean?
Yeah.
Or
unless I missed the transition, I had to run away from my computer for a second.
Mm-hmm. I think Roy wanted some more design exploration. But I can make a patch for the functionality if that.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, if especially if a patch is not like hours of work, a patch to actually prototype the behavior is very welcome.
Yeah, I can do that because I'm currently doing that for for client sites anyway.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, if Emily and Joseph could just add their explorations to the issue we just discussed, we at least have a couple of directions in there. And then if we have a patch to just click around with, I guess what we need to decide is, do we want to do this just for content and have that? I think it would be a big win, right? Regardless of whether that specific solution would scale to other items in the toolbar. But I guess, I mean, there's we quickly hit into redo the configuration information architecture. I don't know. That's Okay, I'm interested in the one for content, just for content, because we have a similar use case for the user account menu, right? To have profile and logout links as the subs for that. Would be interesting to look at the implementation for those two as a relatively specific change, contained change specific to those two items. And then let's see if that, in another issue, we can explore how that might inform any new behavior of the toolbar as a whole. Let's do it like that. Did that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
I tried to leave a comment on that issue, and I'll leave one on the other one we talked about as well with that. And then, you know, if it's not right, feel free to leave a follow-up comment on what's required. It's always nice when the last comment on an issue makes it clear what the hell you're supposed to do to move the issue forward. So that's all I was trying to do.
Right. Oh, it was cool to see those multiple mockups that are lurking on people's hard drives. Thanks for those. It's good to see those together.
Thanks.
Okay, so let me share my screen again. So I was working on this issue, redesign workflow configuration page to better visually describe the flow. And that is the issue where Kevin O'Leary basically proposed something like this. This is, I think, the latest iteration which he managed to create.
Real quick, what's the URL of that? For some reason, like the Google controls go right over the stupid. So I can't see the most important part of the link.
Yes, I just pasted it in the Hangout chat. So at the moment, the way how with the latest patches for content moderation workflows, this is how workflows look like right now for Drupal 8.4. It is basically one page and states and transitions, and also the content types or entity types are always edited and selected and changed in a model. So one thing is really good about this, that it's on one single page. Everything happens here in this single page, and you don't have to go to multiple pages to basically configure the entire workflow. You don't have to go to the content type configuration page. But I was trying to think of how I can do something like this within this page. One idea was, if we use models to use a layout, something like this for transitions. It is a bit different because on the transition side, you have to select from multiple items, not only from one, but from multiple. On the end, it should be something like this, so we can clearly see which are selected on the from side and which are selected on the to side. But it still didn't solve that you actually have to go to 3 different models to edit the workflow itself. So one idea which I had to was to change actually the tables which are here into something where you can actually select which one is published, which one is default directly here without having to go to edit. I wasn't able to solve within the current Drupal UI how to, for example, do some in-place editing here for administration. So you would be able to change the name directly here, but you would still have to go to edit that. and basically this is just pasted from there. But it sort of felt outdated, or this design, basically the admin theme which we have at the moment still is based on Drupal 7, which basically 7 years ago, and many new features which we have now, and the new ones are coming up. The original Drupal 7 admin theme, UX thinking basically didn't count with these new things which we are working on. So I started to explore maybe a different direction. Like, what if I started from clean page and try to use some maybe more modern elements, and sort of maybe see if I can maybe start an initiative or something like that for updating the Drupal admin UI or design language.
Top TV.
So I have just a few mockups which I wanted to show you. So this would be the workflows listing. This is edit workflow page. So moderation states, you can just use in-place editing here to change the label of the state. You can use toggles to enable or make it published or default revision. On hover, you can it would display drag and drop tools, so you can change the order, or maybe an icon to delete it. Transitions. So this is quite similar to that, just with some refreshed UI. But basically everything which you need to do with workflows, you can do from here. You don't need to go to any other page, any other model, except maybe this, because there you have to select from multiple items. But maybe there can be a different solution for that. And then I started to look at other pages, how it could look, content list, or the table is quite the same, but the edit page, so this was based on the idea which I had a few months ago, to putting the this edit page, basically redesigning that a little bit. So maybe one idea was to put the main action items somewhere here, say preview, and just refreshing that. Also modules page, using cards here instead of this big UI. And if you click on the arrow, it would expand to something like this. But the idea was to just give a bit more air, more white space, make it a little bit more cleaner, less borders, less tables and restrictions, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah, I really like it. It was something I wanted to bring up sometime soon, is that we need to modernize 7 as an admin theme by removing some of the Chrome, by looking into how we can, make specific. We need to add some more patterns, something like that. Toggle would probably be very useful in many places.
Yeah.
So definitely very interesting.
So maybe in Vienna, when we'll be there together, we can put together a few booths across a few days and start a discussion how we can drive this change.
Just like we just discussed with Antje, maybe a quick patch to see how it works.
Yeah, I think this will be a big patch.
But I really like this because you're looking at the big picture, right? Because this specifically does not need patches, because we want to get a feel for the overall design philosophy and what kinds of changes we want to make. And I think we make a very interesting and good start here. Angie?
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, echoing what Roy just said, but also like I've been talking to people internally at Acquia, and I know that's just one data point, but whatever baffling reason. Okay, so I'm not a designer, right? So to me, it's like, hey, there's no errors in the admin panel. That admin theme looks great. But I know that this is something that people do, and so it's interesting to get a second data point from Pfizer that it's like this is something people do is they actually do use a different admin theme or you know, make adjustments to the admin theme or something to give it. And you know, and the idea that people spend time on that was sort of like, wow, you know, kind of like that was not what I expected people to spend time on. I expected people to spend time on integration and panels and, you know, paragraphs and, you know, this module clicks this checkbox and, you know, like, and they do spend time on that kind of thing too. But the fact that people are actually investing time in making the admin interface better is a pretty good indication that we need cores to look better. So people can stop.
To work better also, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the first thing that gets stripped from a client project. If you're a shop building Drupal sites, it's the first thing that gets removed. We'll fix it by training. But if you're working on a platform or a product, then yes, people invest in making things, optimizing the many recurring tasks people have to perform.
Oh, well, that's fine. I don't have a problem with people reorganizing the admin menu and making different dashboards and stuff like that, but I'm talking like people will literally spend, and like Kevin used to do this constantly. He worked on this, you know what I mean? Because it was like ultimately did not like the way 7 looked. Let's just make 7 look the way you want it. You know what I mean? Just like, because if everyone is fixing 7 for the same problem, it's like not enough white space or confusing because they're checkboxes instead of toggles or like this kind of thing. These are all things that we could just resolve upstream and then no one would have to spend time on that anymore. So
in which case maybe
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Maybe it would be time for a kind of broader survey on the what are you actually changing on the admin end before you ship the site to a client.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't have a survey would always change.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely need some information about that. But I mean, the other thing we could do, like what you guys did when you redesigned 7 the first time, is you just came up with a style guide and everyone went, holy crap, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
You know, like you've already got a strong design idea here. I'm not putting more work on your plate at all. And I'm not saying this is a priority for anyone at any time, but I'm just saying like, if this is something that you want to push on, maybe the way to do it is to come at it with a style guide, fangledy way as people do style guides these days. You know, I don't know what atomic blah blah whatever. But like, and that would give people something to kind of wrap their heads around and be like, oh wow, yeah, that's a lot better, you know. And something to look at. We could get validation that this will eliminate some of the, you know, redoing work that people are doing currently. Anyway, awesome stuff, man. This is I love seeing what you guys are working on. Like Roy said, insight into what lies on your hard drives, you know, like.
Joseph, is this something that you're looking to implement, or is this an exploration?
Yeah, this was an exploration. But I would love to get something like this implemented. But it's very fresh. I only showed this to Dick yet, so not even to anyone else. So we'll have some more discussions about this. But I think the first iteration would be, you know, trying to redo something like this in the current UI which we have, basically in the 7 theme, and you know, we'll see how how to go forward. I basically just created this over the weekend, so.
We should plan a 2-hour buff every day.
Yes, definitely.
And come up with a vision for this, because
yes,
it would definitely help if 8.5 would ship with a visual makeover.
Yeah.
That also brings some functional goodies. But yes, even if it were only lipstick, it's still more than just lipstick, right? Because it shows that we're changing and improving, and that would be a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. That's interesting. And exciting. Yeah, it looks great.
Thanks.
Thanks for that sneak peek.
Yeah.
Okay. Top of the hour.
Oh, good timing.
Way to fill an hour with awesomeness, everyone.
Yeah.
Joseph, whenever, I mean, this doesn't necessarily need an issue just yet, but if there's some, I mean, I can open one, right? Rethink 7 and just start collecting some bits and bobs. But yeah, we have to put some stake in the ground somewhere that we actually have a desire to do this. Okay, but we'll get back to this. That's great.
Okay.
Thanks all.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Bye.